What next for William Samoei Ruto after scoring a major victory against President Uhuru Kenyatta in Msambweni, against Raila Odinga in Msambweni, against Hassan Joho, a man who has always dared him to a contest at the coast in Msambweni, against the system and the deep state, and against the police? What next for William Samoei Ruto? Because let's face it, the victory in Msambweni can only be attributed to one man, William Samoei Ruto. We all remember that initially William Ruto wanted to sponsor Charlotte Akinyi Miriam on a Jubilee ticket. But that attempt was thwarted by the Jubilee Party Secretary General and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta placed a phone call to stop Raphael Tuju from giving Jubilee ticket to Charlotte. And probably, we never know, had they sponsored Charlotte on a Jubilee ticket, probably ODM party would have won. So after he was thwarted, he decided to go for the independent candidate, Faisal. And he unveiled him at an elaborate event in Karen, and then embarked on a campaign. And Faisal Abdallah Bader was declared the winner. And yesterday, the good thing is that yesterday, the ODM candidate from Msambweni, Omari Boga, conceded the defeat and later on met with Faisal Abdallah. But what next for William Samoei Ruto? Because he must sustain this momentum. Failing to do so will not help him, in my considered opinion. Remember, there was a guy who defeated Hassan Joho in Kisauni during a by-election like the one in Msambweni, called Anania Mwaboza. After the win, Anania Mwaboza celebrated and forgot. And Hassan Joho went underground, campaigned, and defeated him in a general election. So basically, people like Faisal Abdallah should learn from people like Anania Mwaboza. But what should the deputy president do moving forward? Number one, in my view, the deputy president should use the Msambweni by-election to create the momentum to oppose the Building Bridges Initiative process. In my view, that's one thing he can do. And why do I believe so? I am convinced that part of the reason why ODM lost to Msambweni is because of the handshake. And the handshake is giving birth to an animal called the Building Bridges Initiative process. So it means for William Ruto to succeed at the coast, he must continue hitting. Because in politics, there is nothing like love. When your opponent is down, you have to deal with him. You have to destroy him completely. So this is the moment for the deputy president to build that momentum and use that momentum to oppose the Building Bridges Initiative process. For example, I saw him yesterday somewhere, was it in Kajiado? And I was listening to the speech by the former cabinet secretary, Mwangi Kiunjuri, and he was alluding to the fact that they won in Msambweni because of the Building Bridges Initiative. That these guys want to talk about BBI while Kenyans are suffering. Kenyans don't have employment. Hotel industries are down. And those are some of the livelihood of the people at the coast. So it's the right time for the deputy president to oppose the Building Bridges Initiative process. Failing to do that, it would only mean that it's going to give President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga a chance to recover. Because the BBI, if the deputy president will not oppose, is likely to succeed. And if it will succeed, just like Msambweni victory was attributed to William Ruto, the same thing will be attributed to Uhuru and Ruto. So that's number one. Number two, the second thing he must do, or he can do, is to use this opportunity to launch his political party. If William Ruto had wanted an excuse to leave Jubilee, this is the moment. He went to Raphael Tuju, told Raphael Tuju that let us sponsor a candidate in Msambweni. I'm seeing an opportunity there. Tuju placed a phone call to Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta told him, don't. So which means Jubilee refused to heed to his advice. Then there were some other by-elections in central Kenya and Rift Valley. In Rift Valley, in Rift Valley, there was one in Naivasha. Jubilee sponsored a candidate. William Ruto refused to go and campaign for the Jubilee candidate. But they had a candidate, and that candidate ended up winning. Then there was another one in Murang'a. In Murang'a, the same thing. William Ruto and his troops never supported the Jubilee candidates in those seats. They campaigned for their own candidates. And then there was the Kahawa Wendani, which was in Kiambu. Kiambu is the hometown of President Uhuru Kenyatta. In Kiambu, they also campaigned not for the Jubilee candidate. They campaigned for another candidate. So in those 3 by-elections, they managed to win 2. So which means today you can claim that William Ruto has already secured a political party. They have 2 MCAs. I remember when Raila Odinga was defecting from Fort Kenya, there were by-elections first in Nyanza. One was in my ward in Nyakach. Ben Ogut, I still remember, was very young. And another one, actually the 2 were in Nyakach. I think one was Councillor Wadiaga, I remember the name, and Ben Ogut, my councillor then. So NDP by that time sponsored those candidates, and they won. And that's how he built the momentum. Already, the political party of Moses Kuria, which sponsored these candidates, won those 2 seats. So this is the moment to launch that party. I don't know what you think. Because let's face it, Jubilee is not going to give William Ruto a chance. If you read the statement which was issued by Rafael Tuju after that particular elections, he was congratulating them. And he also congratulated the people who campaigned, who helped raise funds for those seats, specifically the 3. So Ruto can use this opportunity to launch his political party. Number 3, which he must do, is to use this momentum to consolidate the coastal region. Coastal region has always been Raila Amolo Odinga. He has won against Raila. That's the reality. But the question is, if it were about Ruto and Raila, who would have gotten the votes? Because in Kwale County, in the last election, ODM only won 2 seats. Member of Parliament, and the women rep, and the senator. The other 4 went to other political parties, including Jubilee. But despite that, Kwale County still gave Raila Odinga the highest percentage of votes in the entire coastal region. So which means there was something wrong. These guys voted for other candidates, but still voted for Raila Amolo Odinga. Can we also conclude that in Msambweni, these guys can still come vote for Raila Odinga, but vote for another candidate? So to get all those answers, William Ruto must now go to the coast. After going to the coast, William Ruto must consolidate. He must go there. And I was looking at the results from Dabaso, where Ruto also had a candidate. In Dabaso, the margin between the ODM candidate and that candidate was actually narrow, less than 200. So which means there's a chance for him. And he can only do one thing. He can only move ahead of Raila Odinga and consolidate. Because I'm sure Raila Odinga is also not sleeping. The next day you'll start hearing Raila Odinga amekutana na wazee mwingine huko, ameanza kwenda usiku nini, something like that. So it's the time for him to go to the ground and consolidate the coastal voting bloc. Until he does that, then I can tell you, he should not celebrate that victory. Number 4, it's also the time for Ruto now to start this dynasty versus hustler narrative. At some point, President Uhuru Kenyatta stopped him from running away with that narrative. That narrative worked for him and has continued working for him. So we must start using that dynasty versus hustlers narrative. Because the hustler nation is actually spreading across this country like bushfire. And the only way he can continue that is by sustaining that narrative. He can only sustain that narrative by attacking President Uhuru Kenyatta directly, by attacking Raila Odinga directly, by attacking Kalonzo Musyoka directly, by attacking Musalia Mudavadi directly, by not going, like the other day I saw him with Nyachai's son, by not associating with Nyachai's son. So he must start that. And lastly, it's time for him to deal with the Hassan Joho factor at the coast. Is Hassan Joho a real factor in the coast? Or was he just taking advantage of the ODM popularity at the coast? The only way to gauge that is now by start going to Mombasa, organizing huge rallies at the coast, taking advantage of this victory, telling the people that watu walikatazwa Msambweni, you guys also, you just need to start charting your own political path. I don't know what you think, but in my view, Msambweni provides the deputy president with very good opportunities across this country. He can use it to build his momentum, to brand the hustler narrative, to penetrate those ODM stronghold. Like, for example, there's going to be a by-election in Western Kenya. He can use that momentum. Because one thing I know, if he's going to be defeated in Matunga constituency, then that momentum is going to be lost. So William Ruto must do everything possible again to win in Matunga constituency. Is it Matunga or Matungo in Kakamega here? Because if you want to do that, the party is going to be cut short for them. The celebrations they had is going to end. And I've seen people advising Raila Odinga not to sponsor a candidate in Matungo. Is it Matungo or Matunga? We have two constituencies, one at the coast and another one in Western Kenya. But he must ensure that he wins there. People are advising Raila Odinga not to sponsor a candidate. My advice to Raila Odinga, and I'm going to do a comprehensive video for him, for it, is to sponsor a candidate in Kakamega County. Lose with your candidates. But I'm going to explain in details why Raila Odinga must do that. Thank you guys. And by the way, I'm just leaving. I was just headed to Sigomre now. But I just thought like I should do this before starting the journey. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day.